Right?
Yeah, it's a beautiful morning. It's bright.
We
so
always
early
start
bright.
off the day, not only just on a positive note, but we like to seize the day, as we say it here at Smart 24 TV. Because you know what, no matter what challenge you are to face, and I say this every day from Monday till Friday, no matter what challenge you are to face, once you set your mind on a positive note, you will overcome that challenge. Just to give you a sneak peek on what is happening all throughout this entire session today, we are going to be talking about a couple of things. The informal sector in Uganda, a cat and mouse game, it seems like. What is happening to the informal sector? We know for sure that it contributes quite a lot. We will be looking at that all throughout this particular session. Of course, we have some news as well coming in, quite a lot of good news coming in, regional, national, as well as international news. Within the Caribou, East Africa, there is quite something coming on in regards to what is happening between Ethiopia and Sudan. Stay tuned for more information on that. Noah, what is happening this morning in your region? Where you come from? What is happening?
Oh, in my region.
In your region, where you come from. In your community. Let's call it community before you get...
a lot of violence here from my region. I'm from the region of East Africa.
Okay.
But yes, good morning, everyone. I hope you had a wonderful Monday. It's a bright July, honestly.
Yes,
I'm optimistic it's going to be a very good month. Yeah, but we have a lot of things that are being implemented. Of course, yesterday we started the implementation of the financial year. And the taxes that we were talking about previously, we are now in the
living in the gist of the matter.
We are in the
thickness.
dream.
We're in the dream. We're in the cooking pot.
Oh yes.
We are in the cooking pot.
So things are going well.
Yeah.
Today I was coming thinking about some of the things that have happened. You know, like now, yesterday was like the beginning of the year when the financial year starts. It's the beginning of the year. So as some of the things that are going to be talked about in December, today I was coming thinking about them. You know, a few things here and there. That from 500 millions.
500 millions what?
That was put on the coin of 500 shillings by one of the members to, you know, the exhibitions that have been happening to campus life. I also thought about Juma Waswa Balunywa, the guy who didn't go. I don't know, for some reason I was like, wait, this guy, we all celebrated him and he did go through for guild president.
Why? Like why? Why
was I thinking about that?
Yes, like something must have triggered it off. You know, the mind retains quite a lot. Trust me, something can come back from 20 years back and you're like, what?
Well, I kind of came singing about that song. You know, Juma Waswa Balunywa, and then suddenly I'm thinking, wait. But actually, a lot of things have so far happened this year.
Yes.
You get?
Yeah.
Like, we already have seen a lot.
I know.
Anyway.
But this is the amazing part of the human mind, the fact that it retains quite a lot of memory, short term as well as long term. But talking about the cat and mouse game, we are now getting down memory lane, looking at the number of times that we've had the informal sector in Uganda talked about. Not only just as in the cat running after the mouse. Just look at it from the figuratory part of it. The informal sector is the mouse, yes, every time running around and trying to hide from the taxes. And then, of course, the government officials trying to open and cast the net wider to have them pay their due diligence to the government. Yes, comes in. But I was thinking about the number of times, every time this comes out in the media, we get to highlight things such as this, when they are running after them, when they are, telling them, can you please get formalized? We have the markets right now there for you, waiting for you. Get off the streets and get into the markets that we have provided for you. And then I'm seeing some, of course, in the Daily Monitor, we'll have a press review, comes in again, first page, Nabanja wants the poor to pay the price, tough talking, saying, you must account to the government. Why are you poor? You should record police statements to explain why they are still poor. Yet the government has sunk billions of shillings in the household income generating programs.
I'll tell you.
I wish that would happen so that they can really give quite a good.
I want to keep this topic. I want to keep this topic for the moment of press release, because
it's a lot.
What I'm thinking about, if I start right now, the time may not be enough. But yes, the Kabaka yesterday got to speak to people after some time of Ugandans, and of course particularly
worrying about his health,
worrying about his health. So from Namibia, he got to speak to people, and the comment was that, was he recorded with a technophone? I also got concerned.
Why? Out of all things, it's not even just the fact that he's healthy, that he's alive.
That man has served this country diligently. And sometimes I feel like the Owa Kabaka and the people who are in charge of making sure that the Kabaka is okay
are doing him a disservice.
Sorry to say this. I would like to join some of the other Ugandans who say, I think they're not doing a job that they really deserve to do.
In regards to the public relations,
they should value
about
that.
It.
Yes, they should
because
value
it's in Namibia and not necessarily in the US.
So the way he was addressing, the way he was seated. I mean, me, I'm on the side of communication, the expert.
Yeah.
There's no way you get some funny phone and then you get the Kabaka to sit on some funny sofa and then you have a technophone, it's somewhere like that, and then you record and he's speaking. This man should have all his privileges. Have the Buganda flag there. Let him address, because he's not on
with the titles with which he has, with the dignity.
You understand? But he addressed like, I would sit and do a TikTok video in my house. And to be honest,
it was very
you people who are taking care of the Kabaka, you have really demeaned that
There's only one person who is very vocal about that, and that is yes, exactly. So
I didn't want to be very particular, but thank you so much.
When it comes to accountability, this is what we talk about.
We are not happy with the way you have handled the Kabaka.
And please say I, not we.
She suggested with me I was still sparing. I was still sparing the title, and she brought it. This one.
Accountability. Give me a name. Give me a name. That is what we want.
So,
that is what we
Mr. Katikiro, my colleague has fronted your name as a headline of someone who is taking care of the Kabaka. We do not appreciate how he's being handled. And that video, yes, thank you so much for making sure that you deliver the message from the Kabaka. But that presentation, we are not happy. We are not even sure where he's keeping the Kabaka. That place seems to be like
a dingy place. Very dingy.
I'm not a Muganda. I'm just trying to complain on.
You're not even a Muganda.
I'm not a Muganda, of course.
But you're bothered.
Nendi Muganda, banange muntunira bulungi. Nedira mpologo manzi kuola.
You are part of the informal sector, unregistered and part of it. Let's get right into the informal sector. This one is quackery of the highest note. But getting to talk about the informal sector in Uganda, according to the ILO, this employs around over 2.1 million people. And basically
only
more than that, around those are estimations in between non-farm. Yes, and that is from the non-farming, non-agriculture.
Am I understanding the informal sector very well?
Get into it.
Because the informal sector,
or otherwise also called the grey economy, is that part of the economy that is neither taxed nor monitored by any form of the government. And now when we are breaking down, looking at the segments of the different labor in Uganda, the ones who are not, remember, Uganda has been talking about different statistics coming in, 68 to 70% of Ugandans involved in agriculture. So assumably that we take it at a current maybe 70%, we get to know that there is 30%. Now out of that 30%, you having a fixture bracket between 1.8 to 2.1 Ugandans within that bracket being within the informal sector.
But to be honest,
yeah,
in Uganda, the informal sector is not.
That's why it's called a grey economy.
Yeah,
so black is not white.
But to be honest, the informal sector, when you say when you understand it and say it's neither taxed nor monitored by the government, you get. It's not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And you look at the kind of the people we are supposed to consider the informal sector, the people who are supposed to be in the informal sector, you realize that actually we have foregone that statement, because is there anyone in Kampala here who is not taxed formally? You get?
Indirectly or directly?
Directly. These people are taxed directly. You get?
Yeah.
They are taxed directly. You operate anywhere, any mudala, they will definitely tax you. Sometimes I feel even those human beings who are selling genets and therapies, whatever, they also face
in one way or another.
One way or the other.
Yeah.
So when you
look at those monies, let's talk about the stalls and things like that. When you look at the 100% that is supposed to be coming from the informal sector, those little monies that you believe are taxed are just, they don't even represent 25% of the potential monies that should actually be harnessed or harvested from the informal sector. And this carries, normally we just fixate on the traders, just looking at that, but there is mining and quarrying, you know, there is agriculture. They will tell you that it does not only just look at the micro enterprises that are out there, the small ones, those Bunyebwa Packers and you know, all that. Yes, and those in the fruits business and all that. It also looks at other companies that or different entities, if I can call them, that are literally employing hundreds of people, but they're still classified under the informal sector.
And that is...
yes, because they are not paying that 100% of what they're owed, they're supposed to pay.
For me, you see, sometimes when I really want to stress a point and make sure that it's clear and understood, to me and somebody who would be watching me, I think I would like to look into the kind of people who are involved in the informal sector. And it's where the attachment for me comes from. Who are these kind of people? How is their capital status? What is their investment exactly? You understand? These are people who will get even 20,000 and goes and buys sweets and sits on the street and start selling them.
Do you know, right now, even as we get to break down all these people so that we are clear about it, you know, I used to, at one time, we used to focus, personally, speaking on my part, I would focus so much on the businesses, yes, the ones in the business. Then when I later on, you know, read a little bit about more, I got to think about it. Someone can get 100 million. Yes, 100 million, maybe savings, maybe SACCO money, and then go in and move to Masindi, Hoima, hire a truck, and go to Masindi and Hoima and fill up this truck with maize. Yes, and then come and resell and literally get maybe around 170 million. This is happening on a daily. We get to see lots and lots of businessmen getting into that produce. And this sector is vibrant as well, the retail part of it and wholesale. And so this person invested in 100 and has gotten out 80 million. Yes, he has no particular permanent place. He will come to you and say, you know what, let me position myself here just for between this time and this time for this day. I will pay you maybe 100,000. He gets his clean 80 million, take off a couple of things here and there, and the guy walks away with a clean 65 or 70 million, untaxed, nothing to show the government for it. Do you know that is happening?
It is happening.
Yes, not even just looking at the fact that, yes, we know as well, I know where you're going, we know about the bracket, and that's where our fixation has been, that bracket of women that get 10,000, go to Nakawa market, get 20,000, go to Nakawa market, buy that fish, buy the oranges, buy the pineapples, yes, the tomatoes, those are so many women. Tomatoes, yes, and onions. All of them get in and put that there, and then you find out she has maybe between 8,000 profit to 11,000 every single day. sometimes we tend to fixate. When Nakawa is, when the KCCA guys are coming in, those are the ones that they round up. But you also have the other bracket, the other bracket that is making huge monies.
Yeah, the rich can be taxed sometimes, maybe not, but in some systems like ours, the rich can be taxed.
Cat and mouse game.
Yeah, and the thing is that we have seen the rich avoid paying bills, so we shouldn't be shocked with some of these things that, you know, when you give that example. And we have seen them avoid bills until they are caught and somebody has water bills of about 100 M. You get? The rich avoid tax and somehow.
And they also come in and say government to Yambe. And they even say by the government is not helping us. The government is not helping us. I had one recently come out who will fall under the bracket of rich. And the government is not helping us. Government is putting all its energies on investors. Those investors coming in from different countries, they have forgotten us, and yet I employ how many people? You know? And that was. But when you look at mining and quarrying, honestly, how many of these guys, apart from the permits, that's why we said at least the monies that are coming in just account for maybe around 25%. So you have the whole whooping 75 to 80% of monies that are meant to actually be given to the government, and then they literally are not accounted for.
They're not accounted for.
Mining and quarrying. You have your land there, capture. It is my land. You go there. If someone and start digging.
But all natural resources, I think, are supposed to be, you know.
They get some sort of permit if they are disturbed. If they are not disturbed, they continue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyways, it's a system we are in.
Cat and mouse game.
It's a system we are in. It will definitely. We just have to see if there is some justice that can be achieved for some people, which sometimes takes a process, or sometimes you get lucky, a miracle happens.
What miracle?
And people in power say, you know, this has to stop. I mean, for my country. We're
talking about strategy. Let's not talk about miracles.
Trust me.
We're talking about strategy.
Strategies in Uganda when it comes to policies. Yeah.
Yes.
Strategies in Uganda, you will sit with your strategy as perfect as it is, well thought. You will sit with it and wonder, okay, now how do I even put this strategy to work?
Because we are bad at implementation.
Exactly. So it's why I was telling you, it has to just be a miracle that we wake up and some people are being arrested for corruption. How far have we gone, by the way?
And then you have the naysayers, by the way, who come in and say he would not have been captured if he had given his Kasimo to someone. Because he did someone bad.
Because even this whole thing, even when a miracle happens, there are others who are praying against a miracle. Did you see that church that was praying for the corrupt to be released? This country of mine.
They are beneficiaries of those monies. Weren't you told? Yes, they're beneficiaries of
the church is a beneficiary.
Exactly.
So
in the context in which you have brought
I am before my Father, God, and I'm praying. How am I directing that prayer to God? I mean, I fear God. I mean, when I go before God, you get, I fear God, and I have to go there and first look into my heart. I'm like, anyone, I'm gonna forget Doreen. I abused Doreen. I'm before God. Now imagine someone, you know very well, okay, this guy stole money that was meant for public, you know, development.
Have you?
And then you're praying.
Have you gone through the book of Psalms?
Yes.
Have you gone? Yes. Have you?
The Lord is my shepherd. At least I remember Psalms 23.
A contrite and repentant heart, the Lord does not chasten. And we're not taking the Lord's word in vain.
So they were repenting on His behalf.
But no, that time it is possible. It is possible, and people can be clouded. People can be clouded by the monies. Instead of actually calling them out and saying, you know what, this would have gone to the health sector. These monies, 1 point something or 2 trillion that you have hidden away under your mattress, would have gone to the education sector to house those particular children on this island or in this district that are still under funny building, structures. But instead of that, they are saying, you know what, bring your tithe. And when the tithe is affected, that is when they will fast that some of these. But when it comes down, really, let's even get down to this just before we get into the press review in 1 minute. There needs to be something done. When they were tracing it back to when did it, grow so huge, it was actually traced back to the 1970s during the cross-border trade, Magendo. Yes,
Magendo,
and that is, yes,
Magendo.
the Magendo. That is when it flourished the most. And once people realize they got a taste of the monies they can actually make without just running across the border and then making that money, coming back and sleeping, because remember, you're doing all this during the night and you're sleeping partly during the day. That is when it became now habitual. Yes, for years. And then when coupled with poverty, and then of course coupled with the poor systems in place, lack of systems in place, this has flourished. This has flourished totally. Even when, of course, there were some successes registered by URA in recent years, coming down even all the way from 2021-22, where it registered some, at least 16% improvement. But talking about that, whether it is the e-tax, whether it is the system, they're trying to lure the informal sector, but it's difficult.
Talking about strategies, I have this one thing that I keep on thinking. It's one thing that I keep on emphasizing, including why we should invest in the right places and prioritize some things that are going to help us tomorrow. Looking at businesses, sometimes we are frustrating future billionaires who can contribute to the economy greatly. We have frustrated them with the way we are handling them. You get, a young man has come up, he's passionate about business, but because of how we are managing them in terms of taxation and other things, we end up killing these businesses when they are still young. You get, and at the end of the day, we're going to be. So I'm thinking, if the same way they give the investor a break, the tax holidays, they should be the same way. Instead, they should be giving these young people, and of course, not only young people, but they should be giving these young businesses. No, they are young actually. They account for around 91% of those ones targeted. The informal sector between 18 and 30 years. So they are young. They should do something. So we're frustrating them. Let's see how we can have people pay taxes when it's like feeding a cow before you milk it. You get, feed it. You are very sure that it has fed. It has some milk. It has milk, because even milk comes from that feeding. But unfortunately, we are milking these people and they are not feeding very well. I will give one scenario is some of these young people start businesses from loans. You get, now when you have a loan and then you're being taxed, you have rent to pay. At the end of the day, all this 1 month and your mental stability is totally disorganized. It's in tatters. Business goes bad and you run out of it. We're going to talk about reforms and what can be done during business updates between the time of 8 o'clock to 8:30. Please join us, keep locked here and let us talk about it. But for now, let's dive straight into the press review. Know what's happening with Nabanja there in Daily Monitor. You should account, by the way. Account as to why you're poor, if you are. Nabanja wants the poor to pay the price. Not even to pay the price. The overseer of business in government says the government would start dragging citizens to the police to record statements to explain why they're still poor, yet the government has sunk billions of shillings in household income in jail. Sometimes I think some of these words are said, playfully. Yes, I think they're said playfully, and then they are. Sometimes I speak a lot, which is why I'm paid, and which is why I took this profession. But sometimes I want to reserve some comments because some of these people have said words, and when Ugandans end up not rioting, the Ugandans don't riot; they will celebrate when you die. It's a common thing in Uganda. You understand?
Yes.
Yeah. We have had very many strong statements, which I don't want to get into. But now, Prime Minister saying this statement, I don't know whether she carefully thought about it, but for the press, it will definitely come out and put it forward. And now this has got to the heads. How do you even think about wanting the poor to pay the price? And how do you want to arrest them? So you're poor, hey, you're poor, come here. Tell us.
No, the word used was drugged, quote unquote. So that shows you a little. That's why I say, just for the part of giving a benefit of doubt, let's say that some of these words that are spoken are done so playfully, are not seriously, but of course sometimes they just pick.
To be very specific, government would start dragging citizens to the police to record statements to explain why they are still poor. Yet the government has sunk. Which billions are you talking about that have been stolen by people in your offices?
Entandikwa.
You get.
Entandikwa.
Assess all the programs that started. And if we sat down and really asked carefully and did proper research on beneficiaries of these programs, you'll be shocked. And now it gets worse. So anyway, to be honest, there are people government has really done a lot to emphasize on issues of fighting poverty. We have quite a number of beneficiaries, but the truth is, these people should be very careful with some of these statements that they say.
Yes.
Yeah, we had one of the men who said, those who are coming to the street, make sure you prepare your coffin.
Those who are coming to the streets.
To the street, demonstrate. Make sure you prepare your coffin before you come.
That is something, but let's dive straight in as well.
Someone who said the poor idiots. Like basically some of these statements are coming out from leaders. So I mean this should be carefully presented. If I was to be on Nabanja's, maybe someone who writes his speeches, or his PR, I would definitely want this to be explained in a better way.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's not okay. So in Daily Monitor, Nabanja wants the poor to pay the price. And I don't know why you're running away from the conversation you want to. Or Oyo's diaspora, Batoro. Yes, that's quite a good move there. We're seeing the King Oyo in the diaspora trying to convince Batoro to come and convince the Kabaka raises subject on his health. That is very good news there. 7 Reads Riot Act to official over UTCL deal. Okay, you can also find that in the Daily Monitor. And we still have so many. Abu Mayanja family told to join politics. Why would you drag a family into politics if they don't want anyway? Unless if they do. End of era, Mwanga to pass baton to Akol. And you can find that in the Daily Monitor. Karamoja iron sheets, court to inspect recovered exhibits at CID. Has been how many 1 year? 1 year? It was last year. The iron sheet saga. That happened last year.
Yeah.
So finally they want to inspect recovered exhibits. Then what?
Let's just talk about what's in the new. Let's talk about what's in the new visual. Let this thing end. This is comedy. It's just comedy. First Lady launches I Lead program, something coming in especially for leadership. It supports youth in living positive and productive lives. There is of course a pilot already happening in a couple of schools, around 8 schools. Let's hope this will be sustainable. In some interesting news, some sad news as well coming in. Low uptake of PEP and PrEP worries Medix. This is pre-exposure HIV-related drugs. But that is different as well from the ARVs for those ones who are taking the lifelong medications, treatment for people with HIV to minimize the effect of the virus. In regards to exposure, the moment you know that maybe you have slept with this person, there is a drug that is accessible that you can, but unfortunately it is low. I think a lot of sensitization needs to be done about this instead of people worrying about that. Government starts pensioners head count. Yes, and payroll audits, of course, their findings as well in regards to that. 100 Ugandans, 700, not even 100, 700 Ugandan health workers lose jobs as UNHCR funding reduces. This is terrible. Some muddy waters going on in the medical. But recently we also had, yesterday I think, Monday, yes, as well, talking about how the government has recruited a couple of hundreds as well. So maybe that can balance it out.
There's something very interesting here. A glance at Uganda's poverty rates. And there's a very interesting article that you're going to read about all the government poverty alleviation programs over the years. And for starters, in Tandikwa, the 4-acre model, the presidential initiative on skilling the girl child, Operation Wealth Creation, the Poverty Eradication Action Plan, PEP, you remember that one? We have the Bonaba Gagawale, Prosperity for All.
Yes.
That was a very strong campaign tool for President Museveni.
Why are you still poor with all that?
There's a Myoga. We have the Youth Livelihood Fund. That was bloody. Yeah. I remember writing about it. That was bloody.
And people failed to pay back.
And then recently, the parish development model. You know, if you looked at all these programs,
yes,
there's a way they get to be more vigilant towards elections. Take note.
That has been said.
Take serious note.
That has been one of the major critiques, apart from corruption.
And let me see, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And
now you have PDM as well.
So all these programs, they drop them on implementation. Implementation staggers towards elections. We come out and seem like, oh yes, highlight some of the achievements, you know, and then don't see it anywhere. I mean, in Tandikwa, what happened with the Tandikwa?
We're going to talk about these actually between 8 to 8:30 in relation to the informal sector, and maybe we can give a little bit of a sneak peek to those who are saying that the poor should be drugged. That will be many Ugandans, by the way.
Let me not let this
many Ugandans
right now.
But before we get into that, let's take a short break. We'll be right back after this.
Hey, ani Zizinga? Zizinga! Oh, what? This blood. Zizinga. Lydia went invisible wakati chechi daku. I need the blood. Hey, Euros for everyone on Go TV. Euros for everyone. Laira. Yeah, people at home watching Euros on Go TV. Euros for everyone. Yeah.
Euro 2024 is for everyone on Go TV. All the 51 games of Europe's biggest tournament live on your TV and on Go TV stream.
Go TV Uganda, love it.
Amanya gange nze Namtebi Sharon nga nkolera wano wennyini Saka Kirombe oba Makindye. Empangula gye nawanguddemu ssente mbadde nga nkozesa mobile money nga nsindika school fees w'omwana ku ssomero. Okutegeera nti mpangudde nze mutima neegambye nti kambalinde bamale okujja ndyoke nzikirize nti mpangudde. Kyennyinza okubagamba nti si byabafere weewaawo abafere gye bali naye ennamba eri emu yokka era bw'eba ekukubidde omanye eyo si yabafere. Mpulira bulungi nnyo era ndi musanyufu nnyo. Naye MTN mobile money mbebaza nnyo mwebale nnyo mwebalire.
Together we're unstoppable. This is Jordan. When it comes to classwork, Jordan is magic. Jordan shines. Jordan makes his peers better. Jordan is a true leader. White Star Magic Family. Be a leader. Be magic.
Three inspired souls brought together by love are set on a life-changing journey.
This is your life, Mackenzie. This is no longer a dream.
It's just something about Mackenzie.
I'll never marry you.
Your position does not allow you to break work relationship rules.
Where choices change everything. Crossroads, a brand new telenovela starting 25th June at 8 p.m. on Pearl Magic Prime. DSTV channel 148, GoTV channel 303.
Ninsima Grow Project etwihiroko mbyaro ekatureta ahaha kuba turi abantu bingi tubeta kumanya ngo ntubasa kwikaha. Ninsima Grow etuyambere ekatwihoko ekatwegese ibintu byinje bitubeta kumanya ebintu byinji tubeta kubimanya tubeta kama ngo tubasa kurakurana business zitu tubeta kweyikirizamu. Ninsima Grow abwo kutuyamba ekatwiho mu bingi ekatureta aha tukabasa kugira kitwayega. Ninsima Grow aboktu habula ntubasa kubaba mani ombire bwo miso ekateka mu business nko kutura kure business zitu kurakulana nko kutura bintu handika amabanja na nebitu afuna ningisima abo kuba etwerekera hante tukusopinga emyenda yatwerekera mu wino yatwereka mu kiyembe na no mwahamu ndilenta kuchimanya na nabandi batahi banje be batakuhamanya. So Grow etwerekera ibintu byinji yatwereka iba kusopinga dummies aha kasente kace yatwereka nko kuba kozesa ebiharani by'amasanyarazi. Grow ningisima nyombere ntakuchimanya ngo nimbasa kwiza nkoleki nyege cyarani cy'amasanyarazi ko witikiriyo. Grow ningisima